Oftentimes when I'm having a lot of my initial conversations with founders that I'm looking to work with, they think they have a sales and marketing problem. They think that they're not realizing the growth that they would like because there's something wrong with either their marketing efforts, or they have issues with their inability to sell, or even their team's inability to sell. But when we start to have our discussions and really get to the root of what's happening, usually we find is something more foundational than that. Oftentimes the founders that I work with cannot clearly articulate exactly what it is that they do because they haven't set up their services in a productized way. Like, they haven't been able to say, I offer this short-term product and a few of these different tiered levels of services, and this is exactly what I do, and this is exactly the transformation that you're going to get and the deliverables that you'll receive when you work with me. Look, part of being able to grow and get you out of that role of technician is to get everything out of your head and be able to lay it into a very clear framework that you and your growing team can understand. This is also going to allow you to be able to articulate what it is that you actually do so that your team can start to do it in the exact same way that you do. A lot of founders I work with, they also think, well, no one can do anything in the way that I do. I am here to challenge that belief. That is actually incorrect. The problem is that you haven't just laid down the foundation to be able to say what it is that you do. Look, unless your services are productized, systemized, and out of your head and set up in a way that you can really start to grow and scale your business, you're always going to hit an income ceiling because you're the bottleneck to your business. So if you want to reduce the likelihood of churn when you start to bring other teammates in that can actually take some of those service deliverables off of your plate, if you want to actually grow and scale past the point of you having to do every single thing in your business, then we need to start to work on the foundation of your business. So today I'm going to lay out the exact framework that I use with my one-on-one clients and my sprint clients in order to productize their services so that they can speak more clearly into what it is that they do and start to set up their backend system and standardize the processes that really support those actual tiers of service, and allows them to turn it over to other additional teammates in the future and really grow their business and scale it to where they want to go in the future. A lot of times founders, when we're starting out, they believe that productizing their services is going to allow for less personalization. And I'm here to challenge that belief. I'm here to tell you that that is simply not the case. Your personalization and your customization does not have to rely on you changing up what you do with every single new client. I bet if you go back and you look at exactly what you do with your clients, you're going to find some commonalities that are going to really speak into the proven process that you actually have with your clients, and that are going to allow you to actually be able to set up your products in a way that you're going to be able to speak into it more clearly. Look, productization is your path to creating consistent client outcomes, and that level of consistency is going to build greater trust with them in your ability to provide future services. It's going to create a path to build a scalable client experience, one that doesn't have to have you in every single aspect of it. It's going to create a path to systemize your back end so that delivery actually becomes predictable and scalable so that you can bring others into your world. Again, getting everything out of your head and putting it in one place so that others can start to perform those services for you. It's also your path to creating greater gross margins for your business. Look, as you start to do this and as we start to set up that back end and systemize your processes, your efficiencies are going to grow. Higher efficiencies mean higher gross margins, means more money in your pocket to either grow your business further and afford new operations, or to maybe launch a new product line, or to just pay yourself more. And it's also going to be your path to setting up your business on how to operate without, again, you having to be in every single role, which is going to allow you to elevate yourself to CEO and visionary of the business that you want to lead, not just now, but also in the future. Look, one of the things that I do with each of my clients when they start out is that we go through this process and make sure that their services are productized in very clear tiers. And usually I do recommend that you have a short-term product, because the reality is a lot of people don't know you yet. And so this gives them the ability to get to know you and to work with you, and for you to build that trust with them without them having to have a long-term commitment to you for what it is that you do. The other reason I do this is because it allows my clients to be able to sell more. When they can start to speak clearly into what it is they do and the deliverables that they're going to provide, they're able to really articulate, the actual value and transformation that they're going to provide to their clients, which enables them to more easily sell more in the future. It's also going to help them to set up their back end in a way that they're not going to have to redo it in a year or 2 years, or some point down the road and in the future. This allows them to set it up now to start to standardize their processes, and again, to bring in additional team members without having any of those pesky expectations that could end up misaligned and causing a lot of frustration on both sides. Like, I can clearly see exactly what it is that I'm supposed to be doing for you at any given time if your backend is set up correctly. It also helps to really standardize the way in which you operate so that you can start to lay the foundation for the culture that you want to build in your business. Look, a lot of people don't associate necessarily the operational aspect of what it is that they do, or even like something as simple as productizing your service tiers with building a team culture. But the truth is, that really is a foundational and key aspect of what it is that you're going to build. So this is one of the things that we have to start with. We have to get the foundation correct so that you can build the house on top of it. As I always like to say, with any of my clients, we're really trying to build your future business now. And how we set it up is going to enable you to build more trust and more efficiency. That trust with yourself, with your clients, with your team, like that's really going to be foundational to helping you grow without the risk of high churn, either in with your employees or with your clients. High churn will cost you a ton of money. So we want to set everything up now so that you can build that trust with both sets of individuals. And the truth is, this doesn't just apply at the beginning stages of your business. This is actually going to apply in the future as well. In fact, this just happened to me very, very recently, depending on when you're viewing this video. I had some clients asking for something on repeat, and as I was speaking to my AI director of client experience, it brought up this fact that on repeat, people kept asking for the same service over and over and over, and that was a part-time VA service. So I do offer 20 to 40 hour a week part-time VA support for any of my clients, and I have for a very long time, but I didn't have this additional level of service for those who just wanted to plug and play for like 2 or 3 hours a week. And so, but the question kept coming up on repeat from, again, people I was having conversations with. And so when I started to think through what this could look like, I went through this exact same process. I decided, okay, well, what's the short-term engagement look like? What are 2 tiers of service that I could provide to any of my clients to enable them to have this level of support within their business and continue to grow it without having to have that type of commitment that's going to, give them an actual employee within their business at 20 or 40 hours a week. And so I really took a lot of time and effort and energy to put this into place, and I was able to really take those productized service levels when they were ready and create some standardized processes and deliverables within my business. And then I took it and I put it into my project management system. I put that into Asana. I outlined exactly what the key tasks were that we would provide. I put the parameters and the guardrails around exactly what the scope of work would look like so that I could clearly communicate it to my clients. And as soon as I did that and I started to offer it, I sold 3 within the first week. So this is the level of clarity that it can provide you, the level of additional support so that you can sell more effectively. And again, it doesn't just apply in your beginning stages of your business, although it is extremely helpful at that point. It actually really works even as you continue to grow and scale, and can offer you new opportunities to find additional products and to set them up to be successful from the onset. So let's dig in to, again, another key step in your transition from technician to CEO. And let's walk through my 7-step Productized service blueprint that's going to help you dig in today and start to productize your services in a way that is going to help you sell more and eventually to delegate your tasks to someone else so that you can really fully lean into that role of CEO. So the very first thing that you have to do is you've got to get crystal clear on the problem that you solve and exactly how it is that you're going to solve it. Look, what are the pain points that your ICP is realizing? What is the transformation that you provide or the relief that you provide to your clients? What is your proven process for doing it? Look, if you look really closely, I am sure that you can notice some commonalities again in how it is that you service your clients. But answering these questions, that's going to be foundational to everything: your price, your scope, your future team, how you set up the back end and standardize, the actual service delivery. So you've got to answer these 3 questions first. When you're just starting out, look, you're going to iterate on this a lot because you're going to start to discover what it is you actually like to do, the things that you don't like to do, what you're actually good and really effective at doing for your clients or prospective clients. But as you're a little further along in your journey, so if you're at that place where you're transitioning out of technician and into CEO, you probably already have a good idea of this. But no matter where you're at in your entrepreneurial journey, having this crystal clear foundation and being able to answer these 3 questions is paramount to being able to set up your services in a way that's going to be scalable and remove you out of the bottleneck of being the primary service provider and, again, the doer of all the things. Step number 2. Pick 3 to 5 clients and audit how you provided your services to them. Look, what exactly did you do for them? What were the exact pain points that you actually relieved for them? How did you provide those services? What was the process that you went through to actually create the deliverables and give them to them? You can do this no matter if it's project based or if it's monthly and on a recurring basis. Look, what worked in the engagements? What didn't? I bet if you look close enough, you can find some key aspects that didn't work, that didn't really meet your client at where they were in their own journey. And what was consistent across all of the service deliveries that you provided? How did you perform everything? And what can you say showed up again and again and again that you can start to note as something that is part of your proven process, the thing that you do and that you do maybe a little different than everybody else? Look, patterns that you detect here, they're going to reveal your true service model, and they're going to become part of the standardized model that we can make, that we can set up on the back end to make something scalable for you in the future. This is what is going to make your service a lot different than the hundreds of others that are really out there, because let's face it, the market is quite crowded in the service industry. So go through this, and just, you can even pause this video and do it right now. Again, pick 3 to 5 clients and answer each of those questions around what it is you do. Step number 3, establish a short-term product and in 1 to 3 tiers of ongoing service support. Look, I recommend a short-term product that every single person that I work with, because it gives your clients a quick win. It also allows them to engage with you without having to face the risk of a long-term commitment. So create some sort of short-term product like a 30-day sprint, some sort of setup intensive. Sometimes people just call this their onboarding project, where you have a 60-day onboarding project. And this happens a lot in like the accounting industries and marketing industries, which you have to get a lot of data and key documents from your clients. You could also call it a diagnostic or something to that effect. You could call it a 30-day audit, and you can go in and audit some sort of business or service, some sort of business activity within their particular organization to see if it's performing effectively. But this short-term product allows you to spend the extra time in onboarding and discovery that you need to really get to know your client, and make sure that you can perform the services that they need, that there's alignment between what they need and what it is that you do. The truth is, look, the person on the other side of the table, they really don't know you. So to sign a big long-term engagement with you can be a high risk situation for them. And so this short-term product gives them a quick win, and it gives you an opening to create and build that trust with them that's going to allow you to really upgrade and upsell your services much more effectively. From here, I usually recommend that a lot of my clients create 1 to 3 levels or tiers of services to provide to their particular clients. This helps to meet your clients where they're at. Some of your clients just aren't ready for your full scale, full DFY services. Maybe, you have a client who has a little bit of control issues and they want an active part in what it is that you're doing. If you have 1 to 3 things that you could offer them, this gives you again the capability to meet them where they're at, and to make sure that you can find that alignment to perform the best services for them that are going to, again, it's going to expand on that trust and allow you to upgrade and continue to upsell into the future. So you should really base your pricing and even the bullet points around what you do based off of your capacity and your team's capacity. How much time are you going to spend on each of these clients in each of these tiers? The overall complexity of the engagement. Look, my full integrator level clients, that looks a little bit different than some of the starter level clients that I work with, and yours should look different as well. It should be based off your desired client outcomes. What are you doing for them, and then what are the outcomes that you're promising to them? And again, it should be built around your business model, not your client's business model. We're not customizing every single engagement. It should be built around your scalable business model and the money model that you're actually using these services to grow and scale to both now and in the future. And I talk about that in a later video. So for right now, just think about what the business model is that you actually want to build, and make sure that you're aligning your services to that and you're not going way over on scope on either side. Okay, step 4. You want to define the services and the deliverables in each tier that you just defined. So what's included exactly? What are you not including? And that can include like the things that you will include in a higher tier of service and the things that you won't include in that lower tier service. What's the frequency and cadence of the meetings? What's the transactional work being performed? What are you going to deliver as an outcome or a result to your clients? What are you promising and guaranteeing that you're going to deliver to them? What what expectations can you remove from each of those levels of service? What have you noticed in the past that your clients actually expect from you that you don't seem to be providing? How can you remove that out of what it is that you're actually doing? Look, this is going to actually become the foundation for the SOWs that you're going to create, for the SOPs, for the templates, for the project templates that you're going to set up in your project management system so that you can easily scale your services. It's going to become foundational to your entire ops system that you're building, and eventually to the team delegation and the definition of success in some of your future roles within your business. So I really want you to take the time and think through exactly what services and deliverables you're providing in each tier of service, including that short-term product. All right, step 5. I know this question is coming up for you already. So how do you create pricing using a very simple CEO formula for each of these tiers of services? Look, we're not pricing off emotion, we're not pricing off gut, and we are no longer going to price based off the fact that we think a client may or may not pay it. Now we're going to use a simple formula to actually price out every single product that you are currently working on productizing for your services. And here's a very simple formula. First, I want you to estimate the number of hours that you are going to work on this client. That is now, and then you can re-examine this in the future as you continue to hire new people and get more efficient. For your hourly rate, I want you to use $150 an hour. That is a minimum. You can raise that a little if you want. Then I want you to estimate the number of hours a BA or any other support team members are going to use on this product. And I want you to think about what their hourly rate is or would be in the future. I want you to multiply the estimated number of hours for your time by 150, and then for your teammates' time by their hourly rate. Now, go in, take the sum of that, take the monetary sum that you just figured out for the total cost of the project, and I want you to divide it by your ideal gross margin. That should be at least 0.6 or 60%. That is going to give you your ideal price for this product, including a little bit of margin and a little bit of flex. Now, if you want to increase it a little bit to give yourself a little bit of flex room there, and for those projects that tend to go over pretty frequently, you can certainly do that. But especially when you're at that point where you're the primary service provider, it's not necessarily necessary. So now I want you to go in and compare it against market prices to make sure that it is in alignment with others are charging. That does not mean that you lower these prices to match the lowest prices on the market. I just want you to do a comparison to make sure you're not way out in left field as a super high price point. So go and do that quick quick price comparison. Make sure you're in alignment with what others are charging, and that's going to give you your actual product pricing for each tier of service. Now, your pricing should look different at every level of service. Your 30-day or your sprint product pricing might be a little higher. It might take a little bit more time because, again, you're in that discovery period. And then your tiered level of services, your lowest tier of service should not take nearly as much time as your highest tiered level of service. And so those prices should be quite a bit different. This is how you create a scalable pricing framework for each of your products. It's how you make sure that you're getting your pricing correct, that you're allowing yourself to make some money off the work that you're actually doing, and not just money to actually pay yourself, but money to actually grow your operations in the future. Now, if you're just starting out and you want to do some freebies or some highly discounted work in exchange for testimonials, feedback, and even process development, 100%, you can absolutely do that. I know others in the market, they actually talk about this as being a huge benefit, and it's something that I've done with every single product that I've actually launched. I did 5 with my 30-day sprint before I actually launched it, and it was hugely beneficial to me to make sure that my deliverables were very high end for the dollar amount that I was charging for that product. It also allowed me to refine my processes to make sure that when I was charging, I was super efficient at being able to do it and keeping that price kind of low for what it is that I was actually doing in the work that I was actually performing. I do recommend you doing the same with any new products that you're launching, or even with if you're just starting out and you need to get those testimonials and that proof that what it is that you do is highly effective and can be beneficial for the people and the prospects and the leads that you're actually talking to. Then, after you've created demand, after you've gotten the proof, you raise your prices. And then as you get more demand, because you're becoming highly effective at selling, you raise your prices even further. It just becomes a simple supply and demand issue, and you continue to raise your prices and people will continue to pay them because you now have the clarity to speak into what it is that you do and you've got the proof to back it up. Step number 6. Now you've got your productized service tiers, you've got your pricing. Now you need to decide on your payment structure. Are you going to offer a discount for anybody that pays in full? If somebody came in and they said, I want 12 months of service, I'm going to pay you in full right now for the full 12 months, would you offer a payment discount? Even for your 30-day sprint, do you want to offer the opportunity for 2 additional payments? Maybe, sometimes your particular prospects and leads, they struggle with payments. Do you want to offer 2 payments and again a discount if they're going to pay in full upfront, or is it just a one-time payment? What does that look like? Are you going to do installment payments on any of your monthly services or any other shorter term engagements? If you do have something like a 6-month engagement, what is your payment structure look like for that particular engagement? You need to choose the structure that aligns with your cash flow needs, but also can help meet your clients with where they're at. It just is dependent upon who you're serving in your ICP, the particular pain points that they have. If they're constantly looking for sales and opportunities to learn selling, you might offer the 2 payment structure and then again a discount for paid in full upfront. And you can always adjust your pricing accordingly. So if you want to adjust it up at 10% and then offer the 20% discount, that really results in just a net difference of 10% to you. So you can always think about those things, but you do need to decide on that now, and you don't want to change it too much in the future because it does create a lot of operational headaches. To go in and have to update all of your processes on the back end. So go ahead and think through what that could look like for you. And in later videos, I'm going to talk about how to set up your systems for recurring payments so that you don't have to send out recurring monthly invoices from QBO or any other platforms in the future. And just for side note, I do generally offer a discount for paid in full for many of my engagements. The basic rule of finance is $1 today is worth more than $1 tomorrow. So if I can get those payments in full upfront, I would typically offer a 10 to 20% discount. And for those that want to, pay on a monthly basis or pay in installments, then they have to pay the price in full. Step number 7. Document everything. You can choose a Word doc, a Google Doc, a spreadsheet. If you're using Notion, you can document it in there. This is later going to become your entire onboarding workflow. It's going to become your Asana or GHL template. It's going to become part of your SOP library, and it's going to help you develop out internal training so that you can start to delegate when the time comes so that you, again, can transition into the role of CEO. Look, this helps your ops machine, your ops system. It helps it become that machine that you can duplicate for every single client going forward. And that creates, again, a lot of efficiency, which is going to leave a little bit more money in your bank account. So I have another video on how to set up your $1 million plus business ops system. You can definitely go and check that out. And it does talk about how to productize or how to standardize your productized service tiers into project templates that you can easily duplicate with any new incoming client. So I highly recommend that as next steps after you get this set up and you start to sell these bad boys to more people in the market. So like I said in the beginning of this video, I actually just did this with an entirely new product line. I already had parts of the product line in place for the full-in support that I do for a lot of my clients in helping them find, train, onboard a VA into their business, and even sometimes helping them lead the VAs. But I didn't have the lower tiered of service, so I actually just went through this entire process with that. And what I did from there was I standardized the service after I got the parameters set, the scope of work for each level of service and what it is. So I set the pricing. I went through, I created the SOP around what it would look like. I created the contract for what it would be. And then I put everything into a project template in Asana that we have easily duplicated and replicated since then for new incoming clients that wanted to make use of this new product. We already had things set up for the higher tiered level of service for that VA support outside of that. So I just did all of this, again, based off client feedback that I was getting around something that seemed to be a need for them in the marketplace. And it's something that you can continue to do and make use of, as you grow and scale into the future. And as you get client feedback from things, when something keeps coming up on repeat, it's a big signal that maybe you should go down that path and explore what it could look like for you to do. And it's a great opportunity for you to continue to grow and expand your business into new arenas as you move into the future. Look, productization, it is really all about client experience, team experience, setting up your systems, and CEO thinking. Like, it is the foundational work that you have to do to really start to step into the role of CEO. It is going to help build that consistency with your clients. It's going to help build more and more trust so that you can continue to upgrade and upsell your services. It's going to build consistency with your team so that they know what performance looks like and so that you can help them to be successful in their roles. It's going to help you set up your systems on the back end, which is going to create much greater efficiencies, which means eventually more money for you to either grow and scale your business and afford more operations, or more money in your bank account so that you can pay yourself a little bit more. It's going to help create additional freedoms for you in the future. Look, if your goal is to really lean into this role of CEO, you've got to start to free yourself up. And this is one of the very first foundational pieces to doing that, to creating the clarity in the path to freedom. So this is why productization is so important for your business. You cannot customize every product, because when you customize everything that you do, it's going to stay living in your head. That leads to you stuck as technician, and eventually it actually leads to more burnout. Look, if you want more resources, more guides, more help in setting up and productizing your service tiers, I have a couple of opportunities for that. First, join my $1 Million Plus business plan community. To join is absolutely free. And in the lowest tier, you can actually get access to an entire framework on how to go in and productize your services. If you want some more one-on-one support, then book your free strategy call with me, and we can talk about what it would look like for you to go through the 30-day sprint. I think it's super helpful, and this is just one of the deliverables that you will actually get out of that. But no matter what, if you want more videos like this and want more support in setting up your business, as always, subscribe to my channel. I release new videos just like this every single day. Also, you can go in now and you can check out how to set up your $1 Million Plus ops system. And that's going to help you set up your project management system on the back end to help you take everything that you're doing here, put it into your project management software, and more easily scale your business. So I appreciate you being here. And just remember, look, consistency, that is what is going to ultimately create the momentum that you're seeking in your business and allow you to scale, grow, and eventually become the CEO that you're meant to be.